A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News, live here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongso.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Shahin Jarampati and these are your headlines.
IGP Pujit Jayasundara files FR petition at Supreme Court seeking a reinstatement in service. State Intelligence Service Chief says intel on terror attacks received on the 8th of April adds that they were unaware of the sources. Air Marshal Sumangala Dayas appointed as the new commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. Wasantha Senanayake sworn in as the State Minister of Foreign Affairs.
We'll take a look at those stories in detail now. Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara, who was sent on compulsory leave, filed a fundamental rights petition with the Supreme Court to issue an interim order against the order which sent him on compulsory leave. In the petition, the IGP seeks a reinstatement to service. The IGP requests the Supreme Court to issue an order citing his fundamental rights were violated when he was sent on compulsory leave without any valid reason. Acting IGP C.D. Wickramaratne, former Defence Secretary Hemasari Fernando, the Attorney General, the Speaker and the Constitutional Assembly are named as respondents in the case.
The IGP in his petition stated he was not given an opportunity to attend meetings of the Security Council on the orders of the President since last October. He further added these orders had been conveyed to the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence at the time, Kapila Vaidyaratne. The petition further states the Director of the State Intelligence Service, Deputy Inspector General Nilamtha Jayawardena, was asked to report directly to the President. He elaborates that he was first notified of a potential terrorist attack at the Intelligence Information Coordination meeting held on the 9th of April. The petition by the IGP states he was notified on the matter by Head of State Intelligence Sisira Mendis via a letter that also added that 4 senior officers had been reached out to requesting orders to be carried out. The officers include Deputy Inspector General of the Western Province, Senior Deputy Inspector General of the Organised Crimes Division and Police Special Task Force, Senior Deputy Inspector General of the VIP Protection Division and the Director in charge of Terrorism Prevention. He further states in his petition Deputy Inspector Generals in charge of the 9 provinces informed him via phone on the 9th and 10th of April on the daily situations on the ground when discussions were ongoing.
The Parliament Select Committee to probe into the April 21st attacks convened for the first time today.
Professor Jayampathy Wickramaratne filled in as chair of the meeting as the committee chairman. Deputy Speaker Ananda Kumarasiri was unable to attend today's meeting. Dr Rajitha Senaratne and M.A. Sumanthiram was also absent for today's session. Ravi Karunanayake, Dr Nalinda Jayatissa, Rauf Hakim, Professor Ashu Marasinghe and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca were present at today's meeting. The meeting was open to the media and Secretary to the Ministry of Defence retired General Shantha Kottegoda and National Intelligence Head Sisira Mendis testified before the Commission today. Professor Jayampathy Wickramaratne filled in as chair of the meeting as the committee chairman. Deputy Speaker Ananda Kumarasiri was unable to attend today's meeting. Dr Rajitha Senaratne and M.A. Sumanthiram was also absent for today's session. Ravi Karunanayake, Dr Nalinda Jayatissa, Rauf Hakim, Professor Ashu Marasinghe and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca were present at today's meeting. The meeting was open to the media and Secretary to the Ministry of Defence retired General Shantha Kottegoda and National Intelligence Head Sisira Mendis testified before the Commission today.
The current Secretary to the Ministry of Defence testified before the committee and explained the current defence situation in the country. We had removed 99% of the threat. That is not something we can finish off in 2 or 3 months. What we have done is short term. Next, we have the medium and the long term to think about it. We can't arrest those who were involved and leave them in detention camps and control this radicalization. We are looking for more places. One person's name comes up, that is Abdul Rasik. It has been a number of years and some allege that these people were not arrested as they are given some sort of protection. The IGP has said that he is looking into this, but there is not sufficient evidence to make an arrest.
Here are views expressed at a media briefing convened by the joint opposition today.
Last election, Ibrahim was on the national list. Now this person was a candidate from the JVP. A working committee was appointed by Parliament to probe into the April 21st attacks. A member of the JVP was appointed into this working committee. One or two of them. Now tell me, isn't there a conflict of interest here? How can an MP from the JVP be on the working committee? I am writing a letter to the Speaker today. I am willing to ask him how he can appoint an MP from the JVP to the working committee when there is evidently a conflict of interest. This is against our principles.
A two-member Indian National Investigation Agency team has arrived in Colombo to coordinate with the Sri Lankan authorities in the investigation into the April 21st attacks.
A top NIA confirmed to CNN News 18, quote, "We have our own FIR against ISIS modules. The visit is not to assist Sri Lanka with their probe, but to see if an exchange of information and evidence gathered by us and them can be mutually beneficial," end quote. Quoting sources, the report adds that while the NIA team will see if Sri Lankan agencies have any information to help NIA in its investigations, it will also share with them evidence found in ISIS Kerala and Coimbatore module cases. It further adds that the objectives of their visit is to obtain further information regarding the names and contact details of individuals who were revealed when interrogating apprehended suspects.
India, the top source of tourists to Sri Lanka, has relaxed a travel advisory asking citizens to be cautious when travelling to the island, but is no longer asking Indians to halt non-essential travel, now with bans on social media and curfews ending.
India's foreign ministry said, and I quote, "Security situation in Sri Lanka is gradually returning to normal with the lifting of curfew and restrictions on social media and the opening of schools. Indian nationals travelling to Sri Lanka are advised to be careful and vigilant," unquote. Meanwhile, the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs also has updated its travel advisory to Sri Lanka. In an update issued today, the Department of Foreign Affairs advises the travellers to be very vigilant about their personal safety. It also adds that the travel advisory cautioned that the political and social tensions are high and they can trigger violent clashes at any time and throughout the country.
Leader of the National Congress, ALM Ataullah, expressed the following views at an event held in Akare Pattu.
They are creating disputes among the people who live on this island. They did all of this through Zaharan and earned the money and later say that this was done by ISIS. Then we started thinking that countries like India and America had plans on invading this country. We saw the American ambassador paid a visit to the Mahanayakas. Why did she do that? What is their ultimate aim? Why are they looking around? They want to take the resources of the country. They wanted 30,000 acres of land from the Trincomalee harbour to Colombo for their own use. In a situation like this, if we do not say it out loud, we will be liars. All of us will be liars.
Kotte Municipal Councillor Haja Mohideen Ali Usman and 3 others arrested for the possession of swords, knives and CDs containing propaganda material of the IS terror group were returned to detention at the Valikada Police by Colombo Additional Magistrate Kanchana Niranjana De Silva today.
The suspects are held under 90-day detention orders obtained from the Ministry of Defence and will be produced again in court on the 3rd of July for observations. Kotte Municipal Councillor Haja Mohideen Ali Usman and his brother Haja Mohideen Sultan Zahir are thus detained for 90 days. Police informed court today the Municipal Councillor has spent a large amount of money on election activities and investigations are underway to ascertain how he amassed such an amount of money. 15 of the 19 people arrested for acts of unrest in Minuwangoda recently were granted bail, while the other 4 were ordered to be released by Minuwangoda Magistrate Kesara Samara Divakara. Producing the suspects in court, police said action will be taken against them under the provisions of the Penal Code. Thereby, each of the 15 suspects were released on 2 surety bails of 200,000 rupees each. According to our correspondent, police had informed court that it has been revealed that the 4 other people were not involved in the clashes and thereby court ordered for their release.
The Director of Information at the Ministry of Finance, Mohammad Hassan Ali, was arrested from Malwana today for the possession of 93 bullets compatible with a 12-bore shotgun, 2 swords and a number of books with suspicious content. The items were discovered in a joint search operation carried out by the Sri Lanka Army and the Sri Lanka Police. The police spokesperson said the bullets were found in the roof of the two houses located close to each other, which are said to have belonged to Muhammad Hassan Ali. However, police spokesperson added an issue had arisen with regard to his understanding on the location of the bullets. 12 people were arrested in search operations carried out across the country today as well. The police said among them are those who failed to prove their identity and were in the possession of footage of the April 21st attacks. Police seized clothing similar to military uniforms as well. The suspects will be produced before the Mahara Magistrates Court tomorrow. Moving on to more local news, Kurunegala Hospital officials say that as of now, more than 220 complaints have been filed against Dr Shihabdeen Mohammed Shafi, who was arrested by the CID.
The doctor was arrested based on a tip-off that he had property worth 400 million rupees and to ascertain if he amassed the property through activities linked to extremism or terrorism. Following his arrest, complaints were made to the Kurunegala and Dambulla hospitals. 81 complaints were made to the Kurunegala hospital and 11 complaints were made to the Dambulla police station. The organisation to protect the Kurunegala hospital engaged in a silent protest opposite the hospital earlier this afternoon, requesting that no interferences are made into the investigation of the said doctor.
There was constant external influence on the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. This should have been stopped and a proper investigation needs to be carried out. We have no faith in the committee appointed by the Minister of Health. We kindly ask the President to take the necessary measures to conduct a proper investigation and solve this problem. This happened when a newspaper ran a report on this. Until then, we had not received any complaints. The director of the hospital made everyone aware of this matter. They arrived at the hospital yesterday. All the staff in the hospital came into an agreement. We cannot trust this team that came in to investigate this matter. Firstly, we ask that this should be scientifically proven. We all have joined together to save the reputation of our hospital. Therefore, we ask that proper investigations are carried out.
We can't watch an operation and say that there is something wrong here. We would never think that a doctor would do such a thing, because a doctor is there to save the lives of his patient, not to harm them in any manner. If such a thing has happened, it should be first proven scientifically. We kindly ask the politicians not to interfere in this matter.
During a search operation carried out in a lake in Vallam border Kandy, security forces discovered a stock of live ammunition.
The Velambada Police Division and the Special Forces launched a search operation in the Kurandeniya Wever in the Velambada area this morning. Navy divers were also used in the search operation. 50 T-56 bullets, 8 training bullets, 2 bullets and a sword were found in the operation. A claymore bomb of about 6 kilograms has been found in a search operation that was carried out in the Uppukarichan area in Batiklo this morning. The police said that the discovery was made based on the information of several employees of the Batiklo Urban Council. The Sri Lanka Army Bomb Disposal Unit disposed of the bomb.
Well, let's take a look back at the proceedings of the Parliament Select Committee to probe into the April 21st attacks that convened for the first time today.
According to my knowledge, Zaharan's name came up in March 2017 after a clash between two Muslim groups in Kartankudi. I think the Terrorist Investigations Division had acted on this and had warrants to make an arrest. The head of that division at that time was DIG Nalaka Silva.
DIG Nalaka Silva. දැන් මේ 21 වෙනිදා මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි ඔබතුමාලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණා. ඊට පෙර ආරක්ෂක බුද්ධි මණ්ඩලය හම් වෙන්නේ කවදද? කේදවාචකට පෙර.
අප්‍රේල් 9 වෙනිදා අඟහරුවාදා සාකච්ඡාව පැවැත්වෙනවා.
අපි පත්තරෙන් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා ඉන්දියන් තොරතුරු ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ 6 වෙනිදා කියලා. 4 වෙනිදා කියලා.
දැන් ඒක ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම
I personally don't know where this intel came from. Upon now, the director of the State Intelligence Service has not informed me where this information came from. He's the one who sent me this letter, which I have here. He has sent me this, addressed to my name, saying information of alleged planned attack.
Alleged plan of attack.
Not a serious, sir. And me තොරතුරු ලැබෙන්නේ පිටරට බුද්ධි අංශයකින්.
නෑ මේක නෑ සර් මේක.
No sir, this does not say that. There is only two lines. One is information about the attack. Second is that it was forwarded to me. The date mentioned is 4th April 2019. That was a Sunday. I opened it at around 11 a.m. on the 8th. I came to work at about 9:45 a.m. because India's Secretary of Defence arrived that day. That letter is also attached. The 8th was a very busy day. I wanted to inform Secretary Hemasri Fernando, but he was busy with the Indian Defence Secretary. But then that afternoon he had lunch. About 3 p.m. I mentioned this verbally. I said that the police must act on this. Then I wanted to send this to the IGP.
පොලිසිය ඒකින්ද මම මේක පොලිස් පොත්තුමාට යවනවා කිව්වා. ඒක මට හරින්නේ කිව්වේ. කොහොමද කිව්වේ? ආරක්ෂකතුමා. ලේකම්තුමා කිව්වා මේක නමින්
The Defence Secretary. He said we will take it up on the 9th. On the 9th, when we met, this topic had been brought up by the Director of the State Intelligence. But when he spoke, he mentioned nothing about this.
ගැන කතා වුන්නේ නැහැ.
නවවෙනිදා ඉන්ටෙලිජන්ස් කෝඩිනේෂන් මීටින් එකේ ප්‍රධාන මාතෘකාව වුණ නැද්ද ඔක?
නෑ. මේක ගත්තම කතා කරේ.
When this matter came up, it was not spoken about. I had these two papers on my table. When the discussion was about to end, I showed this to the director and said that this should be discussed.
කතා කළ යුතුයි දැන් කියන.
අප්‍රේල් 9 වෙනිදා ඔය කොහෙන් හරි ලැබුණු බුද්ධි තොරතුර ප්‍රධාන මාතෘකාවක් බවට පත් වුණේ නැහැ.
වචනේ ඉතින් හරි ප්‍රධාන මාතෘකාවක් උන්නේ නැහැ.
ඔබ මතු කරුවාද ඒක?
මම මතු කරා. මම පාරේ මුකුත් කිව්වේ නැහැ. බුද්ධ තොරතුර මම ලේකම්තුමා නිරන්තර දැන් ඉන්නවා අපි කතා කරලා නිරන්තර කිව්වා උස මම
නිරන්තර කියන්නේ කවුද?
රාජ්‍ය බුද්ධි අධ්‍යක්ෂක.
Director of State Intelligence, Mr. Jayawardena. He said that such information had surfaced and that the police chief had been notified. My decision was that I write everything about this to the police chief on behalf of the Secretary of Defence. I signed it off as top priority.
Top priority කරලා ඉවර. කවද්ද කියවේ? ඒක 9 එදාම.
ඒකේ තියෙන බරපතලකම පිළිබඳව ඊට ආසන්න දවසක ඔබතුමත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරාද?
මාත් එක්ක කතා කරේ නැහැ.
දැන් 9 ඔය බුද්ධි සමාලෝචන රැස්වීම තිබුණාට පස්සේ ඊළඟ ප්‍රථම ආරක්ෂක කවුන්සිලේ කවදාද තිබුණේ? බදාදා තිබුණාද? 10 වෙනිදා තිබුණාද?
නෑ තිබුණේ නැහැ. ආරක්ෂක කවුන්සිලේ තිබුණේ නැහැ.
ඊට පස්සේ කවදාද ආරක්ෂක
කවුන්සිලේ තිබුණේ නැහැ. ඊට
තිබුණේ නැද්ද?
නෑ තිබුණේ නැහැ.
අස්තවාදී ගහනකම තිබුණේ නැහැ.
තිබුණේ නැහැ.
කවුද ලංකිත ආරක්ෂක කවුන්සිලේ?
මේ සිද්ධියේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා පෙබරවාරි මාසේ 19.
Wearing a safety helmet when riding a motorbike is required by the motor traffic law of the country. This is mandatory across the entire island. Is Samanthare in Ampara exempted from this law?
After a change in subject ministries, 2 ministers and a state minister was sworn in before President Maithripala Sirisena this morning.
The swearing-in ceremony took place at the official residence of the President. Ranjit Maduma Bandara was sworn in as the Minister of Public Administration, Disaster Management and Rural Economic Affairs. P. Harrison was sworn in as the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock Development, Irrigation and Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development. Vasantha Senanayaka was sworn in as the State Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Air Marshal Sumangala Dias was appointed as the 17th Air Force Commander.
President Maithripala Sirisena handed over the letter of appointment to Air Marshal Sumangala Dias at his official residence. Sumangala Dias joined the Sri Lanka Air Force as a cadet officer on the 13th of December 1984 and is a product of Nalanda College. Incidentally, he became the 3rd consecutive Nalandian to be appointed as the commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. The new Air Force commander commenced his duties at the SLAF headquarters earlier today. Former Air Force Commander Air Chief Marshal Kapila Jayampathy officially handed over duties to Air Vice Marshal Sumangala Dias in this manner. A guard of honor was presented to outgoing Air Force Commander Air Chief Marshal Kapila Jayampathy.
We're now joined by Azra Hassan with the weather forecast.
A very good evening to all our viewers. You're joining me, Azra Hassan, on Weather First. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the next few days. Now, the prevailing weather condition in the southwestern part of the country will enhance tomorrow and the day after. Now, the Met Department says that showers can be expected in the central, western, Sabaragamu and also in the southern provinces. Showers of about 100 millimeters can be expected in the central, western and Sabaragamu provinces, also in the Matara and Galle districts. Now, issuing a weather advisory this morning, the Met Department says that heavy showers and strong winds of about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour can be expected in the sea areas from Colombo to Hambantota via Galle. The Met Department requests the fishing community to be vigilant of this prevailing weather condition.
Thank you, Azra. Moving on to more local news. Perpetual Treasuries owner Jeffrey Aloysius today requested court to acquit him of charges made against him in the case surrounding his company. Perpetual Treasuries is alleged to have used inside information during a bond auction to earn large profits and are currently under investigation.
Arjun Aloysius' lawyer made the written request on behalf of his client when the case was taken up before the Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna earlier today. Attorney-at-law Sajid Jayawardena made this request on the grounds that there is not enough evidence to support the allegation that the suspect had received insider information from the Bank of Ceylon. The Fort Magistrate ordered that if there were any objections to that matter, that such objections be submitted in written form on the 28th of June by Senior Deputy Solicitor General Haripriya Jayasundara. This case, filed against 9 persons including former Governor of the Central Bank Arjuna Mahendra, Arjun Aloysius, Perpetual Treasuries owner Jeffrey Aloysius and former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank P. Samarasiri, has been fixed to the 28th of June. Arjun Aloysius, who says he did not receive sensitive information, refused to make a statement to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the bond transactions. Stating that he will not provide evidence, he further added that the Commission cannot force him to do so. But the Presidential Commission stated that the individual in question did receive sensitive information and used it to gain an advantage in the bond auctions. The Commission recommended that twice the loss incurred by the state be recovered from him. The Commission also recommended that investigations be opened and legal action be filed. The general public remain vigilant and continue to pay close attention to the statements made by Aloysius, who refused to provide evidence at the Commission but makes such requests before court.
Minister of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs Sajid Premadasa recently donated an ambulance to the Kirama Rural Hospital in the Hambantota district.
This ambulance, that was valued at 920,000 rupees, was donated under the program to donate ambulances to rural hospitals. After handing the ambulance to the hospital staff, Minister Sajid Premadasa inquired into the shortcomings of the hospital. You elect us expecting us to do the correct thing. I do not consume alcohol or use any kind of intoxicants. Just because I do that, it doesn't mean that my vote count increases. That is a factor that would decrease the amount of votes I get. But on the other hand, my self-satisfaction increases. As I hand over this ambulance to the hospital, I make a wish. May the people who have to use the ambulance be less. I pray that the people live longer and healthier. I also would like to state that one thing men hate to hear. That is that I pray that all alcohol stores in the area will be destroyed and that may less people be addicted to the use of drugs. No one cheers when such statements are made. They will reply saying, may Sajid Premadasa be ruined. I will speak only the truth. My only wish is that this country will be rid of the alcohol menace.
The Shilpi Abhimani 2019 Handicrafts exhibition was held in Jaffna today.
The Shilpi Abhimani program began under the guidance of the Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce, Buddhika Patirana. The registration of those engaged in the craft from Jaffna also took place today. If the largest number of registrations are to be looked at, that number has emerged from your district, Jaffna. I am happy about it. Why? because I come from the southern corner all the way to the northern corner. That is because there are problems among those engaged in this industry. Is there anyone to look into our well-being? Do politicians have the intent to look into our well-being? It is our responsibility to look into and protect you.
And up next is Action TV.
By the 1980s, international lending organizations rejected lending money for the power and energy sector of our country as a result of the inefficiencies of the Ceylon Electricity Board. As a solution to this issue, in the year 1983, the Lanka Electricity Company Private Limited was established as a government-owned private entity. The Ceylon Electricity Board, the Treasury and the UDA held shares of the Lanka Electricity Company Private Limited, referred to as LECO for short. It had a distinct and clear responsibility to carry out, that was to purchase electricity from the CEB and to supply it to the consumers and carry out maintenance. Leaving this responsibility aside, the LECO is now preparing to obtain a loan of 17 billion rupees from the Asian Development Bank or the ADB. The purpose of obtaining this loan is to lay underground power lines from Paliagoda to Colombo. While LECO is aiming at obtaining a loan of 17 billion rupees going against its stipulated responsibility, it should be noted that the total value of LECO is only 16 billion rupees, 1 billion rupees less than the value of the loan that they are trying to obtain. The past record of LECO with regard to laying underground power lines is not a good one. They had carried out only one such project in the past, and it focused on laying cables in the Nugegoda and surrounding urban areas in the year 2012. The project was abandoned after some time, wasting over 400 million rupees. The Board of Directors of LECO are due to meet tomorrow to grant approval for a board paper that could not be approved when the board met on a prior occasion. The board paper states that it seeks the approval for the establishment of a marketing department at LECO. It should be noted that there is an excess of demand for electricity over supply in our country. It should also be noted that LECO already has a customer service department set up. This board paper further notes that a budget of 50 million rupees has been allocated for the launch of a media campaign. With all that is taking place at LECO, it is evident that what should be done is to pay attention to the recommendations that have been laid out in a report that has now gone up to the Secretary to the President. More details tomorrow.
Sima Acclivity Leo Burnett Forum on Business Revival Post-Terror Attacks was held in Colombo today.
The keynote address was delivered by the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr Indrajit Kumaraswamy.
What about the economic fundamentals, which you need to be in sound shape for you to build your businesses? The first point I'd like to make is that on the 13th of May, the Executive Board of the IMF approved the 5th review of the Extended Fund Facility. Now, to us, that was an endorsement that the fundamentals of the Sri Lankan economy was in reasonable shape. If that was not the case, the Executive Board of the IMF would not have approved the review. As of the 18th of April, the central bank's forecast for growth this year was 4%. But clearly there will be a hit, particularly in the tourism sector. Beyond that, the retail sector has taken a bit of a hit. But having said that, there's enough of the economy that's untouched for us to have a robust bounce back.
Security forces are closely working on identifying suspected persons, including persons coming from other areas. We never stop them, because they have rights to move around in our country. But we check them. Activities of NGOs, religious groups are being constantly monitored.
A panel discussion moderated by Kasturi C. Wilson was attended by heads of several sectors in the country.
If you look at 2018, the fourth quarter, what was our growth? It was only 1.8%. And of course, we're yet to see what is the growth for the first quarter of 2019. So therefore, as a nation, we need to look at total economic recovery.
Any kind of terrorism, a natural disaster, epidemic affects tourism first. So it's a very sensitive industry. It's just instant. So we believe that this crisis too, we will overcome. So we have a long way to go.
Now I see the highest number of cancellations coming from the Chinese sector and the Asia Pacific. Good thing is Chinese government has lifted the travel advisories. So now we are coming out with couple of incentives. The Europe and then the markets like Australia will take some time. So we need to have a medium-term strategy.
Now, you would expect incidents like this to impact, say, trust in the financial institutions or the safety of tourism as an industry. But what we are seeing is even basic things like consumption of groceries also gets impacted. For various reasons, communicating the safety and getting things back to normal becomes even more important in a country like ours, Sri Lanka.
Yes, the business is affected, but the people are the first to be affected within the business. And we employ a lot of young people. So we as corporates, we as business owners have a real responsibility to communicate to our staff, to communicate to our colleagues and say, look, we are going to get through this, and this is how we are going to get through this.
If you're talking about hate speech, we're talking about fake news, which actually creates all these issues. And let's face it, I mean, without these platforms, it wouldn't be, none of these situations could be escalated so easily to what it has been escalated to over the last few years that we have seen. So I think it's very important for, government to play a role.
The fundamentals of the economy that the governor mentioned starts and ends in the kitchen. And unless there's economic prosperity, there's no way that you're going to be able to go into a deep rural Sri Lankan village and talk of being Sri Lankan. And we need to face reality. And the problem is very clear. It is corruption at every level. We have 6-lane highways in Hambantota. Half an hour away from this highway, we have people living in trees. We have a village in Matale in which of the 140 villagers who live there, 62 are in the final stage of renal failure. Let's face facts, and then let's begin to deal with the cause, not the symptom.
The first leg of the 75th Bradby Shield between Royal College Colombo and Trinity College Kandy will be played on Saturday, the 1st of June in Pallekele. Well, this is a brief history about the prestigious Bradby Shield. Newsfirst Muad Razik reports.
25th Bradby Shield, first leg on the 1st of June and the second leg on the 15th. Royal versus Trinity, battling it out for the prestigious Bradby Shield.
The blue ribbon of Sri Lanka's school rugby. Royal versus Trinity is a century-old rugby rivalry dating back to 1920. Soon after the end of World War II in 1945, it was former Royal Principal Edward Lawrence Bradby who had the visionary idea to play this encounter as 2 legs for a trophy with the fullest support of Principal of Trinity, C.E. Simitrarachi. A wooden shield decorated with intricate traditional Kandyan silverworks was an offer for the winners. The first Bradby ended in Trinity's favour when Robert Saurja's team won against Royal led by C.D.L. Fernando. Royal's first win in the Bradby came in 1948 under the captaincy of Ashraf Khader. Today, the tally is Trinity with 39 wins, Royal with 33 and 2 games ending in a tie. From a few hundred spectators in 1945, the Bradby Shield now caters to crowds of several thousands of spectators and possibly the best attended school rugby encounter in the world. Will Trinity take it back to the hills or will it remain at Reed Avenue?
And today we have Boa Athukurala all the way from Auckland, New Zealand, the lead commentator for this year's Bradby from Royal College and CHNFC represent. 75th year, it's a big year. What do you think about what are the preparations and what are your thoughts on this year's Bradby?
Well, look, 75 years, it's taken an almost lifetime, we're almost there. I think the preparations have been very robust. Both teams, Royal and Trinity, have really put the work in. But you know what? I can't wait. I am so excited. Like I said, 75 years and can't believe we're here. Trinity will look to attack from pretty much everywhere. They've got some really good running 3/4 and they play width. So that's side to side, especially at Pallekele Stadium very well. Royal, you're right. They, I think, will take a safety first approach. They'll be very disciplined, they'll use the rolling maul. So I think it's a clash of styles. Styles make good matchups. All I can hope for is that they turn up on the day and give the fans what they've been waiting for.
We end tonight's news with the views expressed by Shravan Daniel, the Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited at the General Sir John Kotilawala Defence University recently.
Well, we decided to telecast the statement as this reflects the current public opinion. I'm Shayan Jurampati.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo. Good night.